Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 6. As for the member of Group 6 are Diana Sari, Muhammad Aprili Mujiza, Nur Hanifah, and last Riki Abaya Nur Rahim. And now we will explain our material, testing and assessing grammar and vocabulary. Testing grammar and vocabulary. Testing grammar. The testing of grammar is one of the mainstay of language testing. While such tests the ability to either recognize or produce correct grammar in usage. Testing vocabulary. The main result for testing is that it gives us information about how well our students process in their learning of English. When the teacher announces her student that a vocabulary test is coming, they will probably start to study the vocabulary harder than before. Next, type of test grammar. Multiple choice test. The most common type of multiple choice grammatical is one in which the test maker gives the testee a sentence with a blank and 4 or 5 choice of a word or phrase which completes the sentence correctly. You can look the example. Okay, next, error correction. Error correction items are also useful for testing grammar. An error correction item is one in which the testee is given a sentence with an error for word or phrase in the sentence maker with letter, and the testee need to decide which of the word or phrase has the error. You can see the example. Okay, next, time to test knowledge of word or sentence order. Other type of item can be used to test testes. Knowledge of word order. The traditional way to present the testee with 4 alternative word order. You can see the example. Okay, next, completion item. Completion item are items in which the testees are asked to fill in blank in sentence. For the example, give the book to blah blah blah, woman in the blue dress. Next, transformation items. Another type of grammar item makes use of transformation. In this type of item, testees are given a sentence and the first few words of another sentence to change the original sentence without changing the meaning. You can see the example. Next, word changing items. Another type of item is one in which the testees are given a sentence and a word which they need to fit into a sentence by changing the form of the word. You can see the example. And last, sentence combining exercise. Sentence combining exercise can play a play in the testing grammar as well as its more traditional use as part of completion testing and training. You can see the example.
Okay, next, testing vocabulary. The main reason for testing is that it gives us information about how well our students process in their learning of English. When the teacher announces her student that a vocabulary test is coming, they will probably start to study the vocabulary harder than before. Okay, next. Below are some type of testing vocabulary. First, multiple choice. As I wrote in the chapter types of tests, this technique is easy to mark but quite difficult to design. We can use it either for testing single words, word in sentences or in text. Single words can be tested through definition. For example, number 1. Tangle means A. Type of dance, B. A tropical forest, C. A confused mess, D. A kind of fruit. So from the test, maybe the student will be find what is the suitable meaning from the tangled words. Okay, the second is clause test. Another way how vocabulary can be tested is clause test. This type examines active vocabulary because students are not given any option. They just have a text with gaps. Okay, next, matching. Through matching, we normally test the meaning of words. Usually, words of the opposite meaning. Student don't produce any vocabulary. They only match given words. For example, there is there are some kinds of fruit and vegetables. So the student should matching the words into the correct column. Okay, fourth, odd one out. Students have to determine which item doesn't belong among the others. The amount of item can be various. For example, find the odd word: parrot, hen, eagle, cow, penguin, goose, and sparrow. The student should determine which item doesn't belong among the others. Okay, next, writing sentences. Students have to make sentences from given words. This is a very interesting exercise which is worth trying, but teachers must bear in mind that it will not be easy to mark such exercise easily. For example, healthy, violence, elephant, etc. Okay. 6. Dictation. Here, the teacher dictates words or sentences to students. So, dictation is in Indonesian language adalah mendikte. And this test can improve the student understanding about how to spelling the vocabulary and how to write a vocabulary. Okay, 8. Sentence completion. Students are given incomplete sentences containing words that we need to test. Their task is to complete the sentences so that they make sense. For example, finish the following sentences. I feel depressed when blah blah blah. So the student should completing the sentences. Okay, next, definitions. The teacher give her student a list of definition of words. She needs to test simple example of a definition. For example, it is an animal which likes bananas. So the student should find what is the meaning of the definition. Okay, and the last is translation. Learners can be tested through translation quite well, and it can test both meaning and form. However, we may have trouble with finding the right equivalent between the two languages.
Assessing grammar. In terms of assessment, grammar is central to language description and test taker performance. Today, the knowledge of grammar is evaluated by its correct use in communication through listening, speaking, reading, writing in second language. On the other hand, grammar is about how words change their form and combine with others to make sentence. Communication competence has four components: grammatical, sociolinguistic, discourse, and strategic competence. Grammatical knowledge consists of three elements: A. Grammatical form, or the structure of a language. Form is both morphology, or how words are formed, and syntax, how words are strung together. Both of them are concerned with the linguistic accuracy of language. B. The grammatical meaning of those forms. Grammatical meaning consists of both the literal and intended message that is conveyed by the form. It concerns with the meaningfulness of the language used. C. Their pragmatic meaning or use in a given content. The pragmatic or implied meaning result from the appropriate language choice a learner makes in a given communicative event. Next, types types of assessing grammar. First, designing assessment tests. Selected response, such as multiple choice tasks. The most common selected response tasks present a blank or underlined word and sentence, and the test taker must choose the correct response from the options that are given. Grammatical form, grammatical meaning, grammatical form and meaning. Discrimination task. The task that asks the test taker to attend to input that can be either language or non-language and to respond in the form or of a choice between or among contrast or opposite, such as true or false. Next, noticing tax or consciousness raising tax. Test takers are asked to indicate, underline, or circle that they have identified a specific feature in the language sample or grammatical meaning. Next, the signing assessment task or limited production. Gap filling task. The language is presented in the form of sentence, dialogue, or passage in which a number of words are deleted. The test taker must choose the appropriate response for the deletion or gap based on the context in which language is presented, grammatical form and meaning. Next, short answer task. The input is presented in the form of a question following reading passage or oral or visual stimulus. The expected test taker response can vary from single word to a sentence or two. Next, dialogue or completion task. The input is presented in the form of a short conversation or dialogue in which a part of the exchange or the entire exchange in leave blank and the expected response meant to be grammatically correct. Next, designing assessment text, extended production. 5-point scale for assessing synthetic knowledge. O. None. 1. Limited to moderate. 3. Extensive. And 4. Complete. Information gap text. Present the input in terms of incomplete information, that is, one test taker is given half or someone the information and another test taker is given complementary information. Both test taker then have questioned each other to get all the information. Next, role play or simulation text. The input present test taker with a language or non-language from the ask them to take on a role or stimulate a situation to solve a problem, make decision or perform some transaction collaboratively.
For assessing vocabulary, um, four types of lexical phrases. 1. Polywords are short fixed threads that are perform a variety of functions such as qualifying, marking, fluency, disagreement, etc. For example, for the most part, so to speak, and wait a minute. 2. Intentional Intentionalist expressions are long utterances that are fixed in forms such as proverb and formulas for social interaction, for example, nice to meet you, how's it going, and etc. Um, um, 3. Phrasal contraction are medium-length phrases that have basic structure with one or two slots that can be filled by various words or phrases. For example, force, truly, certainly, as far as I know, or can tell, and etc. And 4. Sentence builders are phrases that provide the framework for a complete sentence with one or two slots where whole ideas can be expressed, for example. On the other hand, or not only, or but also, and etc. Next is defining lexical knowledge. Three components make up couple definition of vocabulary. 1. The context of vocabulary use and vocabulary knowledge and fundamental process, and the last metacognitive strategies for vocabulary. Next is some consideration in design assessment text. Some step to design vocabulary text is clarify your purpose, define your constructs, select your target words, high frequency words, low frequency words, specialist vocabulary, sub-technical words, and determine mode of performance, receptive and productive vocabulary. Next, design assessment text. Recitive vocabulary. First of all, it is important to consider what role the context plays in the item. One function of the context is to indicate a specific meaning of a high frequency word. Second, the learner must be able to recognize the word based on given context. Re- um, la, Vocabulary is a one sentence context, high frequency word. Vocabulary in a one sentence context, low frequency word. Vocabulary matching exercise, word associations. Design assessment text. Predictive vocabulary. A common vocabulary test type is sentence compilations where target vocabulary item is deleted from a sentence and the test taker must understand the context in which the word occurs in order to produce the missing word. Fill the blank and select the direction close. Well, maybe just that I can say thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.